Good evening, my name is Nakama Brody. I'm a journalist and sometimes I have the very rare privilege of being able to write books, and this is one of them. So this is Kabelo Mabalane's his first book, but I don't think his only book. And this is a sort of a product of many, many months of hard work from both of us, and it's wonderful to be here this evening. Kabelo's going to be in conversation with Eusebius Makaza, who most of you also know as quite a talkative person, as a talk show host.
I'm fascinated by South African artists, and I mean art broadly construed. My favorite example is Cello Daker in writing, and the mix between drugs, experimentation, and your creativity. And if you read this book carefully, I think what happened in your case in part is that your creativity depended on this stuff. So it wasn't just the availability and the money, but we'll start there. I mean, you never thought that you would, go from ecstasy and then eventually take coke as well. Each of these things happens, and then it just got bigger and bigger. The rave scene was much more progressive from a drug perspective. That's him talking, not me. One day this guy asked me if I'd ever tried ecstasy. We were in studio when I tried. I even remember what song we were recording, now you will know. In fact, it was the whole album after that, the whole of Halloween. I was taking ecstasy, and it was ecstasy. I was just like, oh, this is amazing. There was an arrogance that came with money. And there are way too many examples I can pluck here. Some of them more explosive, for those of you who are voyeurs. But the key theme through all the drug binges is how your creative output becomes dependent for a long while on being high.
And it wasn't so much the drugs that helped me create. It was actually the insecurity with facing the other talented musicians in the industry and the producers, and they come larger than life, and the insecurities, little old me going to work with one of the producers in the country. I mean, another story that I touch on there is, I remember when I went to go work with Udu Masilela. Udu was Udu, and going to his house, and huge house in Sandton, Porsches, and big cars. It's quite intimidating. Like, what am I going to say? Like, what are we going to come up with in the studio? Am I going to be able to deliver the goods? And I remember I was 6 months clean, but I thought, geez, there's no ways I can go face it, and I took some cocaine. We made a hit.
Don't try it at home.
Yeah, so we made a hit, but my creativity didn't rely on the cocaine. It was more my insecurities that relied on the drugs.